Hey, it's your boy Marc Strictly here, and we're here to talk about Strictly Laughter. Yes, Strictly Laughter on Friday the 27th of March. And we've got a massive lineup. We've got Gary DELANEY. Yes, we've got Gary DELANEY from Live at Apollo and Mock of the Week. We've also got Kay Kurd, Fern Brady, Eliott Steel, and Kazim Jamal. I cannot wait. All at the Dugdale Theatre in Enfield. Where'd you get your tickets from? I hear you ask. We get your tickets from www.strictlylaughter.com, where we're on our second release and very, very limited tickets at that. See you soon. Okay, how we doing, people? Are we recording right now? Wow, I've got this stuff on my head. Right. Let's do a new big tune. Strictly Laughter presents Strictly Banta. And today I've got an absolute gem of a guest. It's my boy. It's the guy, Eliott Steel. I'm starting to applaud. Eliott Steel, man, that's Elliot. And we've also got Will and Cam, our social media man. And you got me, your weekly host, Marc Strictly. Woo! So how you doing, Elliot? How's things been going?
This is the most overly produced podcast. What the fuck was that? The pub DJ entry. Bro, you sound like a pub DJ. Ladies, we having a good night out there. Buy 2 vodka Red Bulls for £7 at the bar. What the fuck is...
I love it.
Just say it for you. This podcast, right? I know it looks all professionally set up in here, but outside there
It's
is
a shit
shit. My week was going well. You're asking me how I am and stuff. My week was going well until I had to walk down the North Circular.
What would you do walking down the North Side? I did text you saying you could get an Uber.
Yeah, no. I know. I was nearly here, so I ended up having to walk down this bit of the North Circular, and there's like this Travelodge, and I'm like, I know that Travelodge,
Yeah.
because shamefully I've stayed in there before.
Don't worry, we've all stayed some Travelodge.
And then there's a shop just down the road. Yeah, it's the only one of them I've seen called Easy Shop. It's like EasyJet, but they run a shop.
Do they?
And you go in there, and it's like cans of beans for 2p.
Wow, I'm in there right now. Laters.
That area out there, man. I thought we were a first world country.
And it's not Heinz, is it? It's like literally
No.
EasyJet beans,
No.
2p.
It's got like Russian writing on it.
No protein in this. No protein. Oh my God. So it's, as I said, an absolute pleasure to have you on. Honestly, Eliott Steel, if you don't know about Eliott Steel, I don't know where you've been. Eliott Steel's been on Comedy Central's Roast Battle. How was that actually? I was going to ask you about this later, but I might as well just do it now. How was, when you was on Roast Battle, you battled your dad, yes? Marc Steel.
Yeah.
And an absolute legend as well. So how was that going on there trying to roast your dad? I mean...
It was good fun.
Yeah.
Nice, you know. It was, it's weird because you kind of have to like just... I've done quite a few like that one was televised, but I've done like a few roast battles as like part of the just when they're on and stuff.
Oh, okay.
Like I've been up against like mates and stuff before, and you always are better off being up against a mate over someone you don't know. Yeah. Because like with a mate, you can go like anything goes. Like I've done friends before. And it's been like they've got dead relatives, and it's just like yeah, go for anything, you know what I mean? But like up against my dad, it was kind of similar because it was like oh okay, and we both know they're paying us decent money. Who gives a fuck what we say? And so it was cool. It was quite a fun like it was a weird sort of father-son bonding experience that I think most people don't get to have.
Yeah, I'll imagine so. Most people just roast battle their parents at home, innit? I'm going out anyway. You can't ground me. Get back here, boy. You know what I mean? So that was a great experience for you, I imagine.
It was a lot of fun.
Okay, and I also saw you on TV the other week actually on Live at the Comedy Store. I can't remember what channel that was on.
Oh, they keep repeating that.
Is it on Dave or something?
Yeah, it's on Comedy Central at like 2 in the morning. I know it's been on because I get people who've been sat at home just drinking all night. It'd be like 2 in the morning. I'm like, why have I got like 3 new followers on Instagram?
Someone actually called Dave a can of tenants or something. No, but you was on there recently, and, so you're doing big bits, mate. You know,
it's going all right.
It's going all right. So what have you been doing for the last 7 days, Mr. Elliott?
I've just been gigging about, man.
Just gigging, you know how we do. Just I'm here, there, and everywhere.
Yeah, man. It's fun. I've been in the last the last 2 weeks. I've been like Edinburgh, Birmingham. I've been all right, like just moaning about my job, but I've been like all up and down. Man. It's been a bit long still.
Yeah, but you get to travel the country, innit?
Yeah, the travel can be the long bit. I don't mind necessarily the shows. It's going to and from a place that can be, especially like I remember one time I went to Scunthorpe and back in the same day, like same trip.
I think everyone does. I think no one lives in Scunthorpe. I think everyone lives on the outskirts. Is it a shithole? Is it like out there?
Worse.
Oh,
worse. Like there was just bits of rubble. Like I was just like I remember I went on stage and was like, why is there just rubble around the place? And they all laughed, going, "Oh yeah, that's all the rubble." And I'm like, why is that? As a town, are you not going to clear it up?
Oh God.
Like,
So
it's horrible. Like God bless the people that live there, but it's a horrible place.
Not the best.
Yeah. Scunthorpe. The worst place I've been to is still Doncaster.
Doncaster. Why is that such a shithole?
Oh, you get off that train. So I was doing it was when I was doing Scunthorpe, innit? I stayed in Doncaster and like one time, and I went to this. I booked this hotel, innit? And
Travelodge.
No, worse.
What's worse than Travelodge?
Oh, this hotel.
Just a B&B, just like
not a B&B. It's like I get there, and I'm not even kidding. Like the walls are like plywood. They're not even like this thick.
Just thin.
And the guy's like, "Oh, just to let you know, you can't go down that bit of the hotel." And I was like, "Why not?" He's like, "Oh, some drunk guy fell through the wall last week, so it's just outside, isn't it?"
It's got chocolate.
Yeah.
Like a murder investigation.
Oh yeah, like Wile E. Coyote's been through it. And he's like, "Yeah, you can't go down it." I swear to God, he goes, "Yeah, foxes keep coming in at night." Like, so like we've just. And I was like, oh, "Okay, cool." So I can't go there. And then I was just in my room. And I could just hear like this Polish family arguing, and I don't speak Polish, but I know it was just this mum going, "You fucking booked this shit." And it was horrible. But I had to walk through an estate to get there, not like an industrial estate, like
drunk state.
Yeah, like man then from Doncaster on a wall on my way back. And do you know when you're like out of ends?
Yeah.
And you're just like. So I'm from Croydon, so even if I'm up in Stonebridge at the moment, if I walk through Stonebridge, I'll be like, "Oh shit, I don't really know how it works around here."
Postcode wars.
Postcode, like back in I'm too old for that shit, but
I get it.
But in Doncaster, I'm like, I don't know anything about how it works around here. Like I don't know. Like as soon as someone hears my accent, they're gonna be like, "Oh, you're not from here."
100%.
Yeah.
And if they hear your voice in the dark, and especially podcast. They don't know if you're black, white, Greek, or Turk, mate. They're like, who the fuck just went there? Then they see Elliot pop up, they're like, that's a white man. I thought it was Barry White out here. And then they see me with squeaky black voice, and they're like, what the fuck's going on?
They hear my voice through like the darkness, and they're like, "Oh, but they're just racist." They're like, "Come, we jumped in, they see me," and they're like, "Yo, where'd the black lad?"
Yeah.
Don't know.
Must have run off. Come back, black lad. So Doncaster wasn't the best. Staying there for going to Scunthorpe.
Scunthorpe, but yeah, one time. So the next time I did it, I was like, right, I'm just going. No, I've done Scunthorpe several times. Cause why not? And so one of the times I did it, I just went up, got the last train back, and I think the whole each time traveling from my door to the place took about 5 hours.
Wow. And
I was like, I would rather do that. Like that's the part of the job that becomes weird when it's long, when you just traveling comes like as just nothing.
But when you are traveling, does your best thoughts on the train happen? Like, do you know what I mean? Or playing or you're just literally just rocking out?
No.
I mean, where as a comedian, where do you start planning stuff? Or I'm sure stuff comes to you on the way. No, like just.
Yeah, once at a time I didn't stay there when I got trained to and from because I was having to write for Edinburgh. I did quite a bit of writing that day, But I think writing for me, it has to be a conscious effort. There are times where I've just thought of things like I've written a couple jokes as soon as I've like stepped out of the shower. I've been like, oh, that's a topper for that joke. It just comes. But I think it's just down to sitting in front of a laptop, writing out what the thing you are going to say is, and then when it's in front of you, you get a better idea of what it actually is, instead of like trying to just vibe. But there are people out there who can do that. There's people who can do everything.
Yeah, for sure.
It's definitely hours you put in job.
Yeah.
It's not just like, I know people off stage who are really funny, but can't translate it on stage. They're still good, but they can't translate what they can do off stage on stage.
Yeah.
And I also know people who on stage are hilarious, but off stage are some of the most boring people I've ever met.
Some dry lettuce, boy.
Yeah. You know, I'm sure you've been to the Edinburgh Fringe. You've met people. You go see their shows, and you're like, wow, this person's really funny. And then you hang out with them, and you're like, oh, man, you're just good at making the thing.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, and they're the people who put the hours in.
Yeah. No, that's a great insight already to Mr. Steel. We'll be catching up with you a little bit later. Get a bit more about you. So so where was you on Friday, Saturday, or Thursday, Friday, Saturday? Was you?
Oh man, on Friday I had one of the worst shows I've ever had.
Serious?
Yeah.
Well, you bombed. You bombed.
Death. For some reason, I was doing a cabaret show in it. I had it booked in from time ago.
Can I just say, Friday the 27th of March, there is one space going. Eliott Steel is now is now not doing a middle. He's now not even doing anything. He's now free on the 20th. So off the curve, he is now. No. He's cancelled. No, definitely not cancelled.
I went on after some burlesque act, innit?
Oh shit! All right.
She's like, I don't respect it as an art form. Like, I'm just gonna, you're not good enough to be a dancer, and you're not brave enough to be a stripper. So
fuckery. There's a lot of. I'm gonna get a lot of hate texts like I did a couple of weeks ago. Oh my god! Repeat that again. You're not.
No, I'm joking. I know. I'm taking a piss because I'm angry because I couldn't. I've never done like a burlesque thing before.
Right.
I've never been on
cabaret,
a
innit? That's what I mean.
Yeah, cabaret.
Cabaret. So cabaret. Please explain it to me, just so I get it right, so our listeners get it right. Is cabaret when you're on the table with a few friends, candlelight? Is that what it is?
I don't know.
You done the gig? Did you get a memo?
Yeah. I didn't. I turned it up, and it was just. I went. But this is like, I'm not gonna say the gig that it is.
Yeah, please don't.
But this is a gig that is notorious.
What, for burlesque thing?
For just comics having a bad time.
Right. Okay. It wasn't like Late and Live or Late and
No,
Live.
no, no. That's an Edinburgh show.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It wasn't like that type of thing.
No. It's not necessarily run by someone with the production values of you, Mark.
Oh, okay.
Who will like
low end.
Yeah. Who will set up a podcast and get comedians on to promote their gig. It's not really. They've not really got the same insight. Right. I say, even though you've only been going like a couple years or a year and a bit, 8 months, your insight is far more than this person's 40 years of experience.
40 years? Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
I need more sound thingy bobs. But okay, shit. So what? So basically you done it in front of a couple of people rather than.
What burlesque takes place upstairs in a pub?
So all right, can I just be honest? Right, I don't like. So burlesque is like, is that kind of?
It's like it's stripping, but they're not strippers. They'll get angry if you refer to it as stripping, as I found out when I referred to it as.
Can you see nipples?
No, they've got tassels on. So yeah, exactly. They do.
Right.
Yeah, and that takes it from like smut to art, apparently. Look, I'm not saying burlesque isn't a thing that like doesn't deserve respect, but it's not getting it from me.
Right. Okay.
You can get it from else. And do you know what?
I can see what happened. You've turned up as a bunch of geezers, maybe a stag do or something, and everyone's like, "Oi."
No. That's not the crowd burlesque attracts. It attracts people who want to see it. There was 2 grandparents who had brought their grandkids who were like 19 to this.
Shouldn't they go to prison for that? Like you shouldn't be showing your what?
No. It's like it's a very liberal sort of art form. Do you know what I mean? It's like, do you get what I'm saying?
I can't. I don't. Do you know what? I don't really.
It's not made for me and you.
Yeah.
It's like modern art. Like like there are people who get it, and I'm not one of the people. I don't sit there and go like, I think it should be banned and it should be stopped. But I just go, I don't get this.
There's not like a woman laying down and is like butt naked, but there's like a bit of grape there or something.
Nope.
Protecting the parts and
Nope.
someone painting it.
Nope.
No, it's not like that.
Nope. It's you come onto a song.
Yeah.
Take your clothes off.
But
and everyone goes woo, and it's meant to be like all female empowering.
Oh, hold on, is it what's that thing they wear? Is it not
corsets?
Corset, yeah.
Not the one I saw, but it was I don't know. Anyway, my gig didn't go well.
I can just see like why it didn't go well. Like it was just like Eliott Steel.
I literally, so the guy who runs the night, he just MCs it as well, which yeah. So you as a promoter know like. That's always disaster.
Yeah. That's too much.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
So, but he doesn't really have any like charisma or skills on stage. So like this burlesque act goes on. I turn up at the beginning and I was going to him like, please just put me on like early in it.
First, to put you on first, because if I was doing it, in my opinion, I'd put the comedian on first because halfway between. Yeah, I've lost. I don't want to hear jokes. I want to just.
There was 3 comedians on though.
Wow, it's a proper like.
So there was already 3 comedians on. I didn't get why he just didn't put all the comedians on in the first section, have the break, and then have the rest of the cabaret.
Because that was what people were coming to see. So
no, people are coming to see the cabaret.
That's what I'm saying. So have you on first as the appetizer, and then have the mains.
Yeah. Exactly that. Yeah. You do exactly like. Hey, so for the first bit we got comedy.
Yeah.
And then for the second part we
perverts can stay around.
Yeah. So I go on. And I go on after a burlesque act, and like I've done comedy like 7 years now. Yeah, I started when I was 16, so I know when it's not gonna go well. Sometimes you turn up and the room's not set up right, and you're like, this could be difficult, but it might be okay.
I've got to interrupt you. I know from Elliot and him helping me out. This guy is such a professional. Like this guy is proper. Like the roof. I never heard this before. I was like, don't. He was like, I like the room, but the roof is just not low enough. And I'm like, wow, this guy, he's proper.
You know
what I mean? He's proper.
Oh yeah, the perfect stand-up comedy setup is like, especially club comedy, or even if you see like theatre gigs. If you watch any of Dave Chapelle's specials, he sets the theatre up. He won't use the theatre stage. He builds a stage that he can come onto off of the theatre. So there's audience either side of him. So there's audience all around him.
I saw him 2 weeks ago.
Was he good?
He was good. I don't think he's the best out there because I like Chris Rock.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So I'm a Chris Rock fan and Bernie Mac. For them two, like,
okay,
that's why I feel that they're the GOAT. But I'm happy to have that discussion. Who's best? I'm sure people listening going, man, nah, Dave Chapelle. But don't get me wrong, I'm not saying Dave Chapelle was poor or rubbish.
Yeah. But for you, he's not top.
He's not. He's in the top 3.
Yeah, okay.
He's just not the. Chris Rock for me is a mate. Like, wow. Bernie Mac, wow. Chapelle is there and thereabouts. But I must admit, I'm coming late into Dave Chappelle's artistry. That makes sense.
Yeah, I prefer his new stuff to his old stuff anyway. And loads of people will be like, "What? I think he's stepped back from comedy and then came back better," which I think you never see.
Or come back richer.
Come back rich, yeah, but he turned down 50 mil.
That's what I'm saying.
And then and then make more. Like,
I've never turned down a job and then gone, Mark, seriously, we want you back. We're going to offer you now £10 an hour. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like he made it and kept all his integrity as well. Like that's why when that's why like he is phenomenal. Like
I can see why. I can see why he's up there. I can see why. He's just when I went to see Chris Rock at the O2. Man, I went and bought the expensive tickets. I was like 7 from the front, and I was like, "This is a dream, man! I want to be like Chris Rock." One of the reasons why I sort of started this way, I was like, "Oh my god, I want to be Chris Rock." And he came out, and it was good. Like, obviously, you know when you see your stars, you're a little bit like, "Oh, it was not as good as." Yeah. Like, he was good. He was good. Dave Chapelle, he came out, and his jokes were about trannies. To be fair. For about an hour.
You gotta say transfest.
Oh, sugar. Is that bad? Oh, listen, disclaimer. I'm sorry. Hey, it's your boy Marc Strictly here, and we're here to talk about Strictly Laughter. Yes, Strictly Laughter on Friday the 27th of March. And we've got a massive lineup. We've got Gary DELANEY. Yes, we've got Gary DELANEY from Live at Apollo and Mock of the Week. We've also got Kay Kurd, Fern Brady, Eliott Steel, and Kazim Jamal. I cannot wait. All at the Dugdale Theatre in Enfield. Where'd you get your tickets from? I hear you ask. We get your tickets from www.strictlylaughter.com, where we're on our second release and very, very limited tickets at that. See you soon.
No,
I don't know.
No, but it's fair, because my dad, do you know what, yeah?
Your dad's a transvestite. Because my dad's one, and you know.
Not transvestite, transsexual. Transsexual.
Is it transsexual?
Transsexual. Transvestite is someone who likes to wear the opposite sex clothing, I think.
How do you know all this?
Because I work in this job, yeah.
No, yeah.
And like in this job, if you, this is one of the things nowadays, yeah. You've just learned something there.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, someone's learned something. There we go. That's fine. Because back in the day, it was fine. It's perfectly acceptable.
As they said, call a spade a spade. We all know what that means.
Yeah. But this is the thing now, yeah. People are happy to lecture. Like I was talking to this about a comedian I know the other day, yeah, about he's a black comic, yeah. He will be lectured.
Are you sure you can say black? Because some of my darker friends would be angry at that. No one's gonna be angry at that.
No. That's how we were talking about before this started. When people like the urban circuit,
yes.
like the black circuit.
The black circuit. Let's just say that, please.
Urban is like pigeons. When someone says urban, I like think of an urban environment of like pigeons and
I see
cars and street lights.
Right.
Like not.
You don't think of the black people that have meant to have like robbed it. The pigeons are
No. You know when people like the urban circuit? You're like, you mean the inner city, and what you mean by inner city is that's where.
But the funny thing is about that, while we're on the subject, like. I find it really disgraceful that we call it that because, or there is even two different types of circuits because, like, I grew up in Emmerton and it's like multicultural. But would you call that the urban circuit if a Turkish man got on? Like, if, say, a Turkish man, a comedian, and it was a Turkish audience, would you just call that Turkish audience or the Turkish circuit?
I think it would be called Turkish comedy now, definitely, because it's like when there's like a Romanian gigs that pop up and it's done in Romanian, and it's like we've got a Romanian comedy night. But I think like it is definitely like for the most part the mainstream of black and white comedy is vastly different. Because it's different upbringings. So like if a black comic is to go on to a white audience and talk about things that white people have not experienced, it will be like if they were to go and, I don't know, do something about like one that I see a lot on the black circuit will be like women wearing weave and like the weave. If you go on to most white audiences, they're going to be like, what? But nowadays they would probably be because there's
wigs don't own it. Weaves like wigs, no?
I don't know. You see what I mean? I don't know.
I don't know.
But it's like it's different upbringings. Do you know what I mean? Like if you go onto a white audience and go like, my dad's Jamaican. This is what it's like to have a Jamaican dad, and you talk in a way of like trying to go, do you guys observe? Do you understand this? Most white audiences would be like, no, we don't get it. But the same way, like I know what I'm saying that now. Like I think because of Netflix and things are so integrated in London. It would like we still have it still happens on the like I have it on like just the circuit. If I go up north, there's reference points and stuff that they might not get.
No, 100%. No, I get that.
It's a different upbringing. It's a different thing.
It's like an American coming over here. They normally try and bring in the latest cock up at football team or like I remember Chris Rock was like, oh, an Arsenal, and everyone was like, boo. Do you know what I mean? You got to try and figure out that area's what's the word? Laughing point, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's a word, but I get it. I think see for me like I kind of like I'm learning all the time about it. You know, I'm not trying to say I know everything, but I just think that this whole thing with the urban circuit and mainstream. I mean, what? So are we saying that there's no black people in the mainstream at all? Because you got people like who are like Darren Harriott, Dane Baptiste, they're in the mainstream market, don't they?
Yeah.
They're not on the urban circuit.
They are. I don't want to speak for Dane and Darren's
No.
experiences, but from what I know of like how it works with Edinburgh and things like that.
Edinburgh's a bit different, though.
Edinburgh's a bit different, but that's one of the mainstream things in comedy. Is the
okay,
Edinburgh
cool.
Fringe Festival.
I'm learning as my listeners are. Yep.
I find that like what happens a lot with things like Edinburgh is it's interesting that you can go up there. I would find like I would go up there and I don't really know how to explain it, but their mainstream
shows.
Their mainstream show. I wouldn't necessarily. Okay, let me say for example, there's a difference between like Michael McIntyre is the most mainstream white comedian, and Cat Williams is a mainstream black comedian. They're both mainstream, but they're vastly different comedians. Vastly different comedians. And it's to do with the fact that one appeals to a majority white audience and one appeals to a majority black audience. And the only comedian I think in this country at the moment who's got a huge crossover of both.
I know you're going to say
Mo Gilligan.
It's got to be Mo. It's got to be Mo.
Gilligan.
It's got to be Mo.
Mo's got the crossover of like, I think he's probably one of like the, I don't know, well actually like Lenny Henry. Lenny Henry
is obviously, I think Lenny Henry is the god, the icon. Someone that we look to. We have to. He's a national treasure. Stephen K. Amos, who I had in my last one.
Stephen K. Amos.
Mate, national treasure yet again. Crossover. Black and white can definitely watch it. But I think, for me, is the word subjective in a sense, or I don't know. I think, yes, upbringing is a little bit, culture is different. So then, if I went to a Russian gig, say, I might not get the upbringing or the culture. But then when we're talking about fundamentals of life, like dating, I don't know, maybe how we eat food, I don't know, how we drive or something. Sometimes it could be it's just human life. So then I think we all can relate to it. Does that make sense? So then maybe, is that my naivety? By thinking that, you know, apart from the cultural difference, actually, everyday life is actually everyone's doing the same thing. Picking up the kids, going to school, you know, dress a certain way, you know, love life, whatever. It's all the same. We all have the same problems, no?
Yeah, for sure. But I've done what we did. It wasn't one like majority black gig in my life, or twice actually. It was the same gig, Scunthorpe, and not. It was.
It must have been like 4 black people, like with about proper inbred black people.
They were just lost.
Yeah. Hello, mate. Do you know where Brown Eagle is, mate? They said it was like 6 hours up the road from the M25. No. But I get. Listen, I think I get it. I think when you've got like 20 minutes to pack something in, you don't. You know, it's just down to you and your experiences, isn't it, as a comedian? Yeah,
but it's also like how would I put it? Like I know when they do like black comedy shows at like I don't want to say the name of the club because nobody comes out well with this story, but like there'll be like a thing where there was a comedian on stage at this show, and it was a majority black show, and went on and was getting big laughs from what the people who run the venue deemed as homophobic.
Right.
So, and that also happens on the mainstream circuit as well. Like so there was then like a sort of bit of back and forth, and I think that the runners of this gig were going like, no, that's just our sense of humor, and the people who own the venue were like, well, look, we've got staff who are gay who felt that was homophobic. So there was like a cultural thing there that nobody was going. Do you get what I'm saying?
100%.
So that's why you have the different, like, that's why it's like, I know, for example, if I do like a black show, there's certain material about race I can do that does not go down as well in front of a room with just white people.
Yeah.
Because a room of just white people feel tense when you talk
about race.
About race.
Yes.
But then a room full of white people will be absolutely fine if I was to go on it and just start doing my dark jokes about suicide and paedophilia.
Yeah.
Than a black room.
Listen, I've seen you. I said this the other week. I have seen you the most in the last 12 months. Out of everyone that I could see or can see, I've seen you the most because I think you're one of the best out there.
Oh, thanks, man.
I wouldn't waste my time. I wouldn't waste my time going to see you, honestly. And I do like the social element out of it, but I wouldn't waste my time. We always do have a laugh, don't we? Yeah. But I love coming to see your stuff. I love it because I just think this guy is on the cusp, man. He's on the edge. He's so risky with his stuff, and I'm like, oh, could you even say that at my gig? Like, no, it's risky, man. It's some of the stuff you come at is risky, but I find that, especially your material, is it fundamentally, for me, what I've seen, it can switch over to everyone else. It doesn't mean. I mean, would like I see Kazim Jamal actually, funny enough, and I saw him at another gig. He's amazing. He's another person. Give him 5-10 years, he's going to be around. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
He's definitely one for the future.
Risks as well. He takes
100% this geezer. Like, and I remember seeing. I was in what was I? I was in the front row of this gig, and he picked on me. I think because I was, well, I think there's 3 black people in the whole thing. So some of these jokes were, and I was with a girl at the time. Just a friend, by the way, just a friend. Hello, Will. Will on camera, social media, man. How you doing, man? Say hello.
Yes, man, I'm good.
Cool. I didn't mention him at all. Normally, in the debrief, I was like, yeah, I will say this. No, I didn't. I just fucked him off. So, hello, Will. Are you all right? Yeah, man. Good man. So, yeah, so this gig, anyway, he proper hammered me. And then afterwards, I went to see him and, like, sort of just introduced myself. And first thing he said, oh, no, I was only joking what I said about you, mate. You know what I mean? And I was like, nah, man.
As soon as a business card comes out, you're like, oh, for fuck. I had it yesterday. I was doing a preview, and I just do this bit in I'm just trying to do this bit about because I can do crowd work in it, but I'm trying to do a bit in my show about
your previews.
That I don't like doing crowd work because I don't give a fuck what you do for a living.
Talk to me what you mean. Oh, I think you just more or less answered my question. So crowd work is when you go into the crowd and you speak to them.
I can MC gigs and stuff, but I was just doing a bit, and I just do a bit where I go to someone like, "What do you do?" And as they go answer, I go, "I don't give a fuck." and I went to the guy, "What do you do?" And he went, "I actually run a theatre." And I went, "I don't give a fuck." And I went, "Oh no."
He just lost the gig there, yeah.
So I know where Kazim's coming.
Yeah, he thought, oh, it's a promoter. I fucking just ruined the promoter. It literally was ruining me. He was talking about porn and all this. And then the other thing, because I was with a woman, it was, no, it wasn't Valentine's Day. No, that was last week. I can't remember. Oh, no, I do remember now. And people just assumed because I was with a woman, me and her was together. And it was like, they even said, how long you two been together? And I was just like, just no. And then someone said, "Oh, do you love her?" But remember, we're not even going out with each other. Like, do you love her? And I just went, and then the whole room was like, moo. And then it all turned on me. Like, he doesn't love her, but he's with her. And I'm like, am I on Trisha? Like, what the fuck? I'm with my friend. I never signed up for this. Do you know what I mean? But it was weird. So Kazim, anyway, going back to the point,
funny boy, man.
He's risky as well. I think if you come on the Friday the 27th of March to Strictly Laughter at the Duckdale Centre, you'll see Kazim and obviously Elliot in the studio, and you'll see how funny and on the edge they are. But Kazim was obviously, well, not obviously, but he with 3 black people in the audience. The rest were more or less white. So some of his stuff, I think he had to sort of. I don't know. I don't feel he's urban. I don't know if he's urban or if he's mainstream. To me, it's just normal, and I think it's just normal for me because I live in the ends. It's just normal. I see, and I mean, I hang around with white people. I hang around with grit. Like, it's normal for me to see all these colours of people. So for me, it's just this is our humour. It doesn't mean that it doesn't have to be so labelled.
But I've got like my black mates back at home. If I show them like certain signs up, they're like, "No, bruv, that's dead." And I'm like, "What?" And then they'll like put on a stand up that I won't necessarily like, but I'm like, "Oh, cool. We just said this is just where we come from. 2 different places here. Like, I'm not gonna. I don't get what they're talking about here. I've not grown up like that, so I can't.
Sure.
Even though things are like integrated, we've still got to accept there's like cultural differences on things. You know what I mean?
Most definitely. No, 100%. Because
it's more integrated here in parts though than it is in America.
Oh, for sure. I don't want to be gigging in the Mississippi or the deep south. Hey, boy, what's this? Marc Strictly is here. You want some fried chicken and some dumplings?
But in America,
oh yes, please.
All the comedians talk about race.
I went to New York in June for my birthday, and they talk about Tinder. That's what they talk about, and race, and the difference. And this is mainstream. This is just a normal white man will talk about it, and black people. Like, so there's so much difference in the comedy in America and here. It's unbelievable. Like I don't think people would understand unless you experience it. Like, because when I was out there, I went there on my own to a comedy club called LOL in where was I staying? In New York. What was it called? Times Square.
Was it Laugh Factory?
Something like that.
Yeah.
And
not that if anyone who has a visa does the visa application. I know nothing about performing.
no, we don't get many listeners. To be fair, say what you want, bro. To be honest, most people. No, I'm not going to say nothing. They've all got jobs. They're all on the way to work while we're listening to the podcast with Strictly Laughter, yes.
I've just to say, I have never ever performed in New York. See it through Netflix.
You just walked through and thought, I'll just pick up the mic and hey,
no, never did anything of the sort.
No, okay, fair enough. Okay. So when you was out there watching and not performing, the most differences. I mean, I got picked on proper out there. I mean, I think I was called. This is funny. Well, I found it funny, but we just come back from one of those American sort of what's the called in Wembley? They've got the outlet stores, and I went to like Polo and bought loads of Polo stuff for big men. And so when I went to this thing, I was like all in my like new American gear, and I thought, you got new clothes. Oh yeah, brilliant. And I was sitting in I think the second or third row or whatever, and the guys come around, and he said, where you from, what? And I was like, I'm from England. He went, oh my God, he's from England, and everyone was just like laughing straight away. And he goes, oh my God, you look like someone that Madonna would adopt.
Was it a white guy saying it?
Yeah, and I was killed. But it's funny. Don't get me wrong. It's funny, but because the way I dressed and everything, and I was just sitting there going, I've just been killed. It was good. It was funny. Yeah. Don't get me wrong, but it was so funny, and I was just like, and he ripped me again. To be fair, but yeah, he just went on with me. But I like that. I don't mind. There's comedy in it. Like you can't get upset if you go to a comedy store and someone rips you. You can't get upset. But some woman did actually in the front row. So this woman had. This was 1 o'clock in the morning, the latest show. It was finishing at 3 in the morning. And this woman had a 12-year-old or maybe 15-year-old kid.
Telling me this, yeah.
Yeah, and I've got it up on our Instagram on at Strictly_Laughter on Instagram. And the comedian just he was doing his bit, and this woman who was black had a child. She keeps telling her child to shut up. And then the guy was like, listen, you're ruining my routine. Your kid should actually not be here. And she got up and she was like, hey, motherfucker, I'm going to lie. And she just proper like wanted to kill this guy. And I remember she had an ice cream sundae in her hand. And she was going to throw it at the guy. And the guy, the comedian saw it. And the comedian was like, security. And you could just see people going, fuck this motherfucker. She could have a gun. And everyone just moved back. And I was just sitting there going, oh shit, I hope the British consulate was funny. I'm just like, the embassy, please ring the embassy, someone. I'm British. We shouldn't be shot here. So, but yeah, then they was going to call the police, and she was like, this will go in your face quicker than the police coming here, motherfuckers. And I was just like, I'm out of here.
That'd be my worst fear, is sassy black woman in the front row.
And she was doing...
York. Oh, that would be like...
All the clicking as well, mate.
That would just be like, why... Any stereotype that's in front of you is never a good thing.
If it's the first time you've experienced it.
Yeah, because it's just like, what? No, don't back up the racist points. Like, like,
call a spade a spade.
Because you kind of want to go like, are we all seeing... this like
play out.
We're all witnessing. Like you feel like you're in like a 1950s cartoon.
100%. But it was a good night in the end. I went to a salsa club after that with a young Puerto Rican lady. Hey. Oh, it was brilliant. Yeah, it was brilliant. Anyway, so we'll move on from that one. So let's go to a commercial break.
Hey, it's your boy Marc Strictly here, and we're here to talk about Strictly Laughter. Yes, Strictly Laughter on Friday the 27th of March. And we've got a massive lineup. We've got Gary DELANEY. Yes, we've got Gary DELANEY from Live at Apollo and Mock of the Week. We've also got Kay Kurd, Fern Brady, Eliott Steel, and Kazim Jamal. I cannot wait. All at the Dugdale Theatre in Enfield. Where'd you get your tickets from? I hear you ask. We get your tickets from www.strictlylaughter.com, where we're on our second release and very, very limited tickets at that. See you soon.